In school, we were trained to believe that the only way to make money is to trade our time for it. We were taught to show up, follow instructions, put in a certain number of hours, and expect a paycheck in return. That's the employee mindset, linear, limited, and outdated in today's economy. The truth is, money doesn't follow time. Money follows value, and the marketplace doesn't pay you for how long you work, it pays you for how well you solve problems. Think about it, someone flipping burgers could work 10 hours and get paid $100. Meanwhile, someone else can spend 10 minutes closing a $10,000 deal because they offered a solution that created real value for someone. Same time, different value. Different value, different pay. Your income is a direct reflection of the value you create, not the time you invest. And value doesn't always come from degrees, titles, or certifications. It comes from insight, impact, and transformation. If you can help someone make more money, save more time, or experience less pain, the marketplace will reward you, often beyond what a traditional salary ever could. This is why entrepreneurs, creators, and leaders often out-earn high-level employees. They understand that money is a reward for outcomes, not effort. If you can increase your skill, solve bigger problems, or help more people, your earning potential expands with no ceiling. So the question isn't, how much is an hour of my time worth? It's, how much value can I create in an hour? Change your focus from clocking in to leveling up your impact, and you'll never look at money the same again. Debt is one of the most misunderstood tools in the financial world, especially because of how it's portrayed in traditional education. School taught us to fear debt, treat it like a disease, avoid it at all costs, and view it only as a burden. But that teaching came from a place of financial illiteracy. The real problem isn't debt itself. The real problem is not knowing how to use it. Debt isn't the enemy, ignorance is. There are two types of debt, bad debt and good debt. Bad debt is when you borrow money to buy things that lose value, like the latest phone, designer clothes, or a fancy car you can't afford. That kind of debt traps you. It drains your resources and keeps you stuck in a cycle of working just to pay interest. But good debt, that's a whole different story. Good debt is when you use other people's money, like the banks or an investors, to acquire assets that generate income. That's how businesses grow. That's how real estate empires are built. That's how wealthy people stay wealthy. They leverage money, they don't hoard it. They use credit not to consume, but to create. The difference is in the mindset. People who fear debt usually only know how to spend it. People who understand wealth know how to multiply it. The school system never taught that. They prepared you to be a responsible consumer, not a strategic investor. If you're educated, focused, and disciplined, debt can be a powerful tool that accelerates your success instead of delaying it. But if you're uninformed and emotionally reactive, it can bury you. The key isn't to avoid debt blindly, it's to learn how to master it wisely. Because in the hands of the informed, debt becomes a weapon of wealth. Most people are trained from childhood to follow a simple formula. Go to school, get good grades, find a good job, and work hard until retirement. It sounds secure, it sounds stable, but what no one tells you is that jobs don't make you rich, ownership does. A job may give you a paycheck, but it won't give you financial freedom. It gives you just enough to survive, but never enough to build real wealth. When you work for someone else, you're building their dream, not yours. You're helping their company grow, their equity increase, and their vision expand, while you trade time for money and wait for promotions that barely outpace inflation. Even if you earn a high salary, it's still capped. You have no leverage, no scalability, and no real control. Ownership changes everything. When you own a business, a product, a brand, or even a piece of intellectual property, you step into a different realm. You now have something that can generate income even when you're not working. You stop trading time, and you start building systems, assets, and influence. That's the path to wealth. Wealthy people don't work more hours, they own more value. They own the systems that others work in. They own the brands people trust. They own the real estate people live in. And every month, money flows to them not because they worked harder, but because they built smarter. This is what school never emphasized, the power of equity. The power of building something that works for you, instead of always working for something. If you want true financial freedom, don't just chase a paycheck, build something you own. Because until you own your time, your value, and your income stream, you're still living under someone else's ceiling. Ownership is the way out. One of the biggest secrets the wealthy understand, but school never teaches, is how the tax system actually works. You were probably taught that taxes are just a part of life. Get paid, get taxed, and hope there's something left over. But what you weren't taught is that the tax system isn't designed to punish wealth, it's designed to reward productivity. And the difference in how employees and business owners are taxed is massive. Employees are taxed first. You earn a paycheck, and before it ever hits your hands, a chunk is already taken out. You get taxed on your gross income, and then you spend what's left. Business owners, they operate under a completely different rulebook. They earn money, spend on their business, and then get taxed on what's left. That's not a loophole, that's the law. It's how the tax code incentivizes entrepreneurship. The government doesn't really care how hard you work, it cares about how much you contribute to the economy. If you create jobs, stimulate growth, or invest in areas the government wants to see flourish, they reward you with tax breaks, deductions, and incentives. Real estate investors, for example, benefit from depreciation. Business owners deduct expenses. Investors often pay lower tax rates on capital gains than employees pay on their wages. The key here isn't tax evasion, it's tax education. Most people overpay taxes not because they have to, but because they don't know better. They've never been taught how to structure their finances, use legal strategies, or build businesses that benefit from the system. Financial education changes the game. When you understand how the tax system rewards ownership, investment, and risk-taking, you stop working just to pay taxes, and start positioning yourself to keep more of what you earn and grow faster than you ever thought possible. Wealth doesn't start in your bank account, it starts in your belief system. Most people are broke not because they lack opportunity, but because they've been conditioned to think in scarcity. They've been taught that money is hard to get, that rich people are lucky, and that success is for someone else. But until your mindset shifts, your financial reality never will. You cannot attract what you don't believe you're worthy of. The truth is, money is everywhere. Value is everywhere. Opportunity is everywhere. But if you're only trained to see limits, you'll walk past open doors every day. That's why wealthy people think differently. They've trained their minds to recognize leverage, to spot opportunity, to believe in abundance. Where the average person sees a problem, they see a business. Where most people complain about prices, they ask how to own the supply. It's not just about thinking positive, it's about thinking productive. Wealthy people ask better questions. Instead of, can I afford this? They ask, how can I create the cash flow to pay for this without touching my savings? Instead of fearing failure, they embrace feedback. Instead of saying, I can't, they say, how can I? If you don't change your inner programming, all the external strategies in the world won't work. That's why two people can take the same course, one becomes a millionaire, the other stays stuck. The difference isn't talent, it's mindset. You have to start believing that money flows to you easily when you're aligned with purpose, service, and strategy. You have to expect growth, not just hope for it. Because when your mind is set on increase, your actions start to align with wealth, and your life starts moving in that direction. Your mindset is either your ceiling or your breakthrough. You choose.